A pleasant day to each and everyone. We are the Group 5, and today we will discuss about the curriculum evaluation. Before we proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Trisha Sevilla Santiago, one of the presenters from Group 5. Going back to our lesson proper, let us define first what an evaluation means. It refers to the process of creating a value assessment. Since our topic is all about curriculum evaluation, in education, the phrase evaluation means or refers to activities including curriculum, programs, interventions, instructional techniques, and organizational factors. Curriculum evaluation investigates the impact of implemented curriculum on students and, of course, the learning achievement in order to make required changes to the official curriculum and to analyze teaching and learning processes in the classroom. A curriculum evaluation establishes. The following are the specific curriculum and implementation strengths and weaknesses. First, critical data for strategic changes and policy decisions. Second, inputs for better learning and teaching. Third, monitoring indicators. Curriculum evaluation might be an internal activity and process carried out for various purposes by different units within the educational system. This unit includes national education ministries, regional education authorities, institutional supervision and reporting systems, education departments, schools, and communities. For curriculum evaluation, external or commissioned review procedures may be utilized. They might be research-based studies on the state and efficacy of various aspects of the curriculum and its implementation, or they could be carried out on a regular basis by particular curriculum committees or task forces. These techniques might look into the effectiveness of curriculum content, existing pedagogies, and instructional approaches, teaching training, textbooks and instructional resources, and much more. Moving on to the student assessment, the ultimate goal of curriculum evaluation is to ensure that the curriculum is effective in increasing student learning quality. As a result, an evaluation of students' progress is included in student assessment. Student learning evaluation has always had a major impact on how and what teachers teach, so it's a great method to get feedback on how well curriculum materials are being implemented. In the domains of diagnosis, certification, and accountability, different types of evaluation tools and processes must be utilized to achieve different aims. Student learning evaluation can be summative or formative, and there are a number of tests to fulfill different requirements, such as standardized exam, performance-based assessments, ability test, aptitude, and intelligence test. There are many additional ideas related with curriculum assessment. In fact, in the book Pawilan 2015, compiled a list of various curricular researches, definitions of curriculum evaluation based on how they understand curriculum, and curriculum goals, curriculum influences, and lastly, curriculum implementation in his book. The basic criteria for evaluating a program, according to these experts, are: first, the process of delineating, obtaining, and providing information useful for decisions and judgments about curricula. Davis, 1980. The process of reviewing a curriculum's goals, reasoning, and structures by Marsh, 2004. In this book, curriculum assessment is defined as the process of assessing a curriculum's philosophy, goals, and objectives, content, learning experience, and evaluation objectively. The process of evaluating a program or studies, a course, or a topic of study for its merit and worth by Print, 1993. The method for determining whether or not a program is accomplishing it is objectives by Tachman, 1985. The comprehensive and ongoing investigation into the consequences of using content and processes to achieve clearly defined objectives by Dahl, 1992. And lastly, the process of identifying, acquiring, and disseminating relevant data for evaluating decisions alternatives by Staffelbeam, 1971. Based on what I have learned on our recent discussion, that curriculum is made for the learners. It will be nonsense without the students. So it is important for the students to have an awareness about curriculum evaluation. As a result, curriculum evaluation includes assessing whether the curriculum is relevant and responsive to society and learner expectation. It's a dynamic and scientific method for assessing the value of any program. Thank you so much.
Let's proceed to the purposes of curriculum evaluation. The purposes of curriculum evaluation, Print 1993, identified several important purposes and functions of evaluation in school setting. Purpose of curriculum evaluation is essential in delivering feedback to students, give useful information to help students improve their performance while also assisting teachers in identifying students' strengths and weaknesses. Helpful in determining how effectively students have met the curriculum's objective. Describe whether students have learned or mastered the curriculum's desired outcomes and objectives. To improve curriculum, the findings of the evaluation are used to improve the curriculum and identify new ways to increase learning. In addition, curriculum evaluation is also useful to administrators and teachers in many different ways. For example, the evaluation aids in the decision-making process for enhancing teaching and learning process. It aids the development of academic policies. It aids in the implementation of curricular changes and innovations. It assures that any curricular program is on high quality. It aids schools in aligning their curricula with a variety of sources and influences. It defines the degree to which the school visions and missions are realized.
What to evaluate? According to Ornstein and Hanskins in 1998, evaluation can be used to collect statistics and pertinent information to help educators decide whether to accept, amend, or eliminate the curriculum in general or a specific education resource. The entire curriculum or specific elements of it, such as goals, objectives, material, techniques, and even the result or outcomes could be assessed. The various stages or phases of curriculum creation may also be the subject of evaluation. Goals and objectives. All of the processes and mechanisms needed to design a curricular or educational program are based on the goals and objectives, so they must be evaluated primarily to determine whether these goals and objectives are worthwhile foundation for the program's development and if they are achievable and result in desired outcomes. It is also worth noting that a curriculum's content, materials, and other procedures must align with the aims and objectives for which the program was designed and constructed. Content and methodology. The developed curriculum or any educational program's content must be examined and evaluated to see if they correspond to the needs of the learners for whom the curriculum was created, as well as to determine the methodology's congruency with the curriculum objectives and the content's appropriateness according to Gatawa 1990. Outcomes and results. The assessment of outcomes or results is linked to the assessment of objectives, content, and technique. These outcomes or results serve as the final indicator of the curriculum success or effectiveness in attaining its aims and objectives. The purpose of outcome evaluation is to gather information and data that can be used to improve the curriculum as a whole. Forms of evaluation. Evaluation can take two forms, both of which can be used to give facts and information necessary for making a choice. Formative evaluation is the process of determining a curriculum program, a syllabus, or a subject taught during implementation succeeded or failed in order to enhance the program, according to Glickman Gordon in 2004. As the name implies, it refers to the information obtained during the development or implementation of a curriculum that can be used to revise the current curricular program. It is done concurrently with the program's ongoing operation to ensure that all components of the curriculum being implemented are likely to yield the desired and expected outcomes. Summative evaluation is a type of evaluation utilized at the end of a program's implementation. As the name implies, it entails the gathering of necessary data, which is normally done after the end of the curricular program's execution. It is used to determine whether a program, project, or even an activity functioned as intended when it was first created or established. In most circumstances, this type of review is used to determine whether or not a curriculum or program will be continued, improved, or revised, or even cancelled.
So let's proceed the curriculum evaluation models. Conducting a curricular program assessment necessitates the use of precise and systematic procedures in accordance with certain approach and methodologies that must be determined based on what's being reviewed. The models listed below can help with the evaluating process. Tyler's Objective-Centered Model. During the creation of curriculum, Tyler's end means starts with defining teacher's philosophy, then identifying the desired outcomes in the form of educational goals, purpose, and objectives, and creating and evaluating the curriculum in accordance by looking at the three key elements: the learners, the life in the community, and the subject matter. Tyler's objective-centered model in 1950 can be regarded as sensible and systematic movement of reviewing procedures while considering the various steps involved. Glatter 1987, as indicated, begin with the behavior goals that have already established. Identify the scenarios that will allow the learners to display the behavior represented in the aim as well as those that will elicit or encourage it. Select, adapt, or build appropriate assessment instruments and ensure that they are objective, reliable, and valid. Obtain, summarize, or assess result using the instrument. Compare the result of numerous instruments before and after specific time periods to evaluate the degree of change that encourage. Analyze the data to discover the curriculum strengths and shortcomings as well as possible explanation for why this particular pattern of strengths and weakness exists. Make the required changes to the curriculum based on the findings. Tyler's objective-centered model, which has been regarded as reasonable and systematic, has been found to be beneficial in reviewing curricula because it is relatively simple to learn and execute.
Now, let's proceed to the next model, which is the Staffel-Beams Context, Input, Process, and Product Model, or the CIPP. In 1971, this model was created by Daniel Staffel-Beam, a professor at Western Michigan University. This model is recommended as a framework to systematically guide the conception, design, the implementation, and assessment of service learning project and provide feedback and judgment of the project effectiveness for continuous improvement. According to Braven, this methodology can be used for both formative and summative evaluation activities. This phases of evaluation assists a decision maker to answer four basic questions. The first evaluation is the context. It assesses the overall environmental readiness of the project, examine whether existing goals and priorities are attuned to needs, and assess whether proposed objectives are sufficiently responsive to assessed needs. It answers the question, what needs to be done? The next evaluation is input. It refers to the ingredients of the curriculum, which include the goals, instructional strategies, the learners, the teachers, the content, and all the materials needed. It answers the question how it should be done. The next one is the process. It refers to the ways and findings of how curriculum has been implemented. Monitors the project implementation process. It answers the question, it is being done. And the last one is the product. It indicates if the curriculum accomplishes its goals. And it answers the basic question, did the project succeed? The Stafford Beams context, input, process, and product model, or the CIPP. It aims to provide an analytic and rational basis for program decision-making based on a cycle of planning, structuring, implementing, and reviewing, and also revising decision. It examines through a different aspect of evaluation, which are the context, input, process, and product.
Now, let's proceed to a stake-responsive model which established by Robert Stake 1973. He established this assessment model which placed a greater emphasis on a complete description of the evaluation program as well as the evaluation process itself. Stake thinks that the concerns of the stakeholders for whom the evaluation is conducted should take precedence in determining all matters related to the evaluation process. This model is referred to as a responsive evaluation strategy since it trades off some measurement precision in order to make the findings more valuable to program participants. There are three crucial components, which is antecedents. These are the conditions that existed before the intervention. Transactions. These are the events or experiences that make up the program, and outcomes. These are the program results. Two special aspects may also describe this particular model: the separation between intention and observation, and distinction between standards and judgment about the effects that occurred. In effect, the model can be viewed as either comparative or non-comparative. According to Wharton and Sanders, as mentioned by Ogle and cited by Dixon and Reyes, the evaluator would use this model following these steps: give context, justification, and a summary of the program's rationale, including its necessity. Make a list of the antecedents, inputs, resources, and current conditions, transactions, activities, processes, and results you want to achieve. Explicitly state the standards, like criteria, expectation, performance, or comparable programs for judgment programs, antecedents, transactions, and outcomes. Record judgment made about the antecedents, condition, transaction, and outcomes, and record judgment made about the antecedents, conditions, transactions, and outcomes. Stake himself, as cited in Glattern, recommends the following steps in employing his model, which he considered as an interactive and recursive evaluation process. Number 1, the evaluator meets with clients, staff, and audiences to learn about their perspective on the assessment and their goals for it. Number 2, the scope of the evaluation project is determined by the evaluators based on such conservations and documents analysis. The evaluators closely monitors the programs to obtain a sense of how it works and to identify any unanticipated departures from the stated goals. Number 4, the evaluator learns the project's declared and true goals as well as the various audiences' worries about it and the evaluation. Number 5, the evaluator highlights the concerns and problems that should be addressed in the evaluation. Number 6, the evaluator creates an evaluation plan for each issue and problems, outlining the types of data required. The evaluator chooses the methods for obtaining the desired data. Human observers or judges will most likely be the means. Number 7, the data collection processes are carried out by the evaluator. Number 8, the evaluator organizes the data into topics and creates portraits that explain the thematic reports in a natural way. Videotypes, relics, case studies, and other people representation may be used in the portrayals. Number 9, using stakeholders' concerns as a guide, the evaluator determines which audience require which reports and selects the most acceptable forms for each audience. House 1980, as cited in Ogle 2002, points out very clearly that the essential components of stake-responsive evaluation are belief that nothing has actual value, belief in the importance of stakeholders' perspective in evaluation, and belief that the case studies are the most effective way of portraying stakeholders' views and values, as well as reporting and evaluating results. The key benefit of this responsive model is that it is sensitive to client or stakeholders' concerns and values. This methodology, if applied correctly, should produce highly valuable evaluation for clients. And lastly, the Eisner connoisseurship model. Through his expertise in aesthetic and education, Elliot Eisner established this model, which is a technique to evaluation that emphasizes qualitative enjoyment. Eisner argued that learning was too complex just to be broken down to a list of objectives, then measured quantitatively to find out if these objectives has been attained or that learning has taken place. Therefore, it is imperative that in evaluating a program, it is important to get into the details of what is actually happening inside the classroom, instead of just considering the small bites and pieces of information vis-a-vis the objectives of a particular learning episode. Eisner devised and advocated the connoisseurship model on the concept that is qualified evaluator, utilizing a mix of abilities and experience, can determine whether a given curricular program has been successful.